Can we fix our own head? Can we be our own therapist? Can we be the best counselor and coach that we could possibly have? I believe that is the case. Now, keep in mind that when I'm talking to people here on Metal Motivation, I'm a guy on Facebook. And although I appreciate the fact that people have a respect for what I say and some of the things that I teach or share, sometimes people can throw in front of me some very serious cases. Now, the one thing that I will say, is that ultimately, no matter how serious the mental condition is, I don't even care if it's someone in a mental institution, the end result, the basic problem is the same. However, let's be serious. This is a guy on Facebook, so we're not going to be talking about that kind of condition. So people will often throw in front of me very serious issues like manic depression, bipolar disorder, very serious things like post-traumatic stress disorder, very serious things, as if I'm going to have an answer for them. No, you need to go and see professionals. Because in a lot of those cases, for example, with post-traumatic stress disorder, because of trauma, you're literally rewired physically. I mean, your body chemical makeup is literally changed. What's going on inside of your body is literally changed. So that's why you have men and women who come back, for example, from war, and they are forever changed. The things that they experience have so reoriented them, or they've suffered concussion, right? You have ball players who suffer concussions, and it has a dramatic effect on their life. But when I say everything is essentially the same, the end result is the same, which means any and all therapy has a central goal in mind, whether they're using medication, whether they're using surgery, whether they're using psychiatry, whether they're using counseling, whatever it is, the goal is essentially the same, which is this: to try and reorient or change beliefs. It's about changing beliefs. Now, within the idea of beliefs is the idea of perceptions, because what ultimately happens to someone is when they are mentally challenged at any level. Now, we're not going to be talking about severe conditions here. We're going to be talking about just the run-of-the-mill stuff that you and I deal with every day. But I need to make this point that when those people go to get some help, they're ultimately trying to change perceptions and beliefs. So think of someone in the extreme, right? Someone who has paranoia, someone who is schizophrenic, right? It is a distorted reality. It's a distorted way of looking at life. They're paranoid. They think people are out to get them that aren't really there. They think people are conspiring against them, and that isn't really happening. You may have heard of some of these people who believe in gang stalking. They believe they're the targets of gang stalking, that there is orchestrated things going on to torment them, to attack them. Very, very extreme forms of paranoia. Those are distorted realities. Same thing with someone who's literally, off the rocker. It's a distorted reality. And when somebody suffers from PTSD, it is also distorted reality. Anyone who's experienced any kind of trauma, they now have distorted realities. If you have experienced long seasons of abuse, you're going to be distrusting. You're going to see things differently. It skews or warps the way that you see yourself, the way you see other people, the way you interpret life and circumstances and everything else. Everybody has different views of something, right? Like a car wreck that happens. You have several witnesses saying what happened, and they're all different stories because you have different perceptions of what's happening. So when it comes to you and I and kind of working on our own heads, performing some self-therapy, if you will, that's the goal. Change beliefs and perceptions because they can be distorted. Those things can be irrational. You'd be amazed at how many of us are literally irrational. I mean, that is in essence what fear is, right? Fear is an irrational belief about something. I want you to think about that. Fear is an irrational belief about something. If you are afraid of spiders, if you have anacrophobia, that's what a phobia is, irrational fear. If you have arachnophobia and we put a harmless daddy long leg on your arm, you are going to freak out as if it were a black widow. Okay, that's irrational belief about something. That's what phobia or fear is. Someone who has a phobia about the dark, someone who has claustrophobia, you put them in a closet and they freak out. It's an irrational belief or fear. They believe the world is coming to an end. They believe their life is about to be snuffed out. Is their life about to be snuffed out? Absolutely not. They could stay in that closet for a very long time and nothing would happen to them. But they're claustrophobic. They have a phobia about the closed-in space. Fear of heights. These are irrational fears, right? Irrational beliefs about things. So fixing something, now again, no matter what it is about changing belief. It's about changing the way that you interpret things. Now, they have something they call cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically this sort of thing. It's about changing your perceptions and beliefs. Now, through therapeutic fashion. So you spend a lot of time with a therapist over this to kind of unpack your own beliefs and your own life situations and kind of correct your thinking around it. And your situation may be extreme and you may need to do something like that. You may need to see a professional. I'm not against that at all. In fact, I encourage it. But again, I'm just a guy on Facebook, okay? But what I want to do is kind of like what you would do in health, physical health. And that is, let's lay the groundwork. Let's do very mentally healthy things to put ourselves in the best situation so that if we can maybe eliminate a lot of those things, we might feel like we don't need the therapist. But if we take the time and, work on these things ourselves, we might find out, you know what? I still would like to see and talk to somebody. And then you can make a better decision about it. But if you haven't done any therapeutic work on yourself, if you haven't done anything working on your own head yourself, then your perception about your own problem is distorted. Your perception about your own condition is exaggerated, is skewed. You can't even see yourself or your own diagnosis properly. So it's important that we fix our own heads. And so I get a lot of people who ask questions about that. Where do I get started? Well, let's start right here. Let's start with working on our own heads, working on our own thinking. Do I do this? Absolutely. And I'm going to share in this next 5-message series about this very thing, about how I unpack my own thinking, how I change and work on adjusting and renewing and transforming the way that I see myself and the way I see others and the world and, all the possibilities that are available. You have to change the way you perceive things, the way that you think about things, or you will be defeated. You will be defeated by life. Life is going to continue to own you. And you won't be able to overcome. You're going to stay where you are. You're going to end up in a perpetual vicious cycle of self-defeat, and all the while placing the blame anywhere but yourself. You're going to put it on other people. You're going to say it's a politician. You're going to say it's this, it's that. You're going to pick anything that you can to put blame on it, but you haven't ever really dealt with yourself. And that's what's important, is to go to work on your own head, do what you can to get yourself foundationally established with sound thinking, an optimistic outlook, a healthy way of looking at yourself and life and everything without denying things, without denying the negativity of the world, without denying the reality of your negative or problematic circumstances, embracing all of those things, but changing the way you see yourself. Because your best defense in life is a stronger you, my friend. And if we can change the way you believe about yourself, you're going to start attacking your problems in a way like you never have before. Can you dig that? I hope you can. This is CJ, the Mental Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck mental up.